Today we're tackling one of the most underserved transit areas in London, the South East. To do that, we're building a brand new line cutting from the northwest of the city straight through central London, crossing the Thames, and then ending in the southeast. What makes this route special is that it follows the path of an ancient Roman road, Watling Street, a corridor that once connected Londinium to the rest of Roman Britain, and still quietly shapes how London moves today. On top of that, we'll finish off the Tottenham Tube line, extending it all the way to Tottenham, and laying the groundwork to transform our premier line into a true orbital route. That means 25 new stations, a massive jump in ridership and profit, and a whole lot of long overdue fixes. So you're definitely not going to want to miss this one. If you're excited to see our London subway keep growing, hit the like button and tell me in the comments which towns we should connect to next. So our main objective today is to construct the Cricklecross line, a portmanteau of its two terminal stations Cricklewood and New Cross Gate, as well as the path it takes crossing London. This route takes some inspiration from the Bakerloo line as well as the Northern line. Much of the northern section follows Edgware Road. It changes names a few times, such as Shoot Up Hill, Maida Vale, and Cricklewood Broadway. It has that classic Roman straightness, which I appreciate because I need a break from the curviness of this map. Then south of the river, the line continues along Old Kent Road and New Cross Road. Let's start by building our northern terminus at Cricklewood. I think in the future this route will keep extending. As you guys can see, this main road is very straight and just continues straight on into Edgevale, which is this town right here. So I think maybe we'll extend it up there in a future episode. But for now, our last station in the north is going to be right here. We'll do a cut and cover, and this is Cricklewood right here. And then our next station is going to be down here in Kilburn, right here. And there is two transfer stations in real life on these sides, or not transfer stations but just stations, and you can see the right away. But for now, I'm just gonna have one main station right there, and then we're gonna have one at Maida Vale, which is this little neighborhood right here. And I think I'm gonna have it, I wanted, on Elgin Avenue right here. And I think these are close enough without being too close. Let's see, a 23-minute walk. That's not bad. And our last station in the north, I was thinking about running it through Paddington, but that just doesn't make sense. So we're going to have one station, and it's going to be right here. And this is going to be Little Cairo, because I read that this area had a bunch of Egyptian restaurants. You guys can correct me on that. Yeah, I wanted it to connect to the Premier line, but I just couldn't figure out how without maybe just redoing the Premier line, and maybe sending it up and then back down. So I'm not going to worry about that for now. Our next stop is going to be at Marble Arch, and we're going to need to be, I think, at -9. So this can be a transfer station, and then let's say they need to get on the purple line for whatever reason. Then they can head over here, and then, yeah, I think it'll be all right. I think if we highlight these people, yeah, most of them are going in this area anyway, and can either transfer to the central line or to our King's line later on. The next station, I wanted Piccadilly Circus, which is, let me find it, right here. And this I want is a quad, so I think we're gonna have it at -9. And the reason I want a quad is because I want to eventually run a route up this road, I believe, and then head north. So how I'm gonna do this, I think I could just go -11, but I want to see if I can get a cut and cover to fit here, and I think I can if I back it up. And I'm gonna have to drop all the roads down, and also I think I can fit one more station right here. This is all gonna have to be underground though. And we'll have our station, how about just right in the middle? And I think this is Berkeley Park, I believe. So we'll have it run like that, and we'll have a very quick flyover down this street. And then that way in the future, we can have a line going north, and probably we'll have the other flyover maybe head up here. What is this street? Clerkenwell. Yeah, something that runs this way. Yeah, so we can brainstorm in the future, and then we can always downgrade this. I know, I'm trying to remember why I wanted a quad there, but for now we'll just leave that. And then let's go back to -9. And at King's College, this is going to be kind of a weird station. I have to get it close enough Okay, yeah, there's something weird going on with the elevation here. So we're just gonna make this a tunnel, and we are gonna have to eat that cost, but it's all right. And that will be our last station that we're building for this section. And then we'll have a crossover here. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new, or 8 new stations in the north. And looking at our costs, already around 1 billion. We're making a lot of money. If you don't remember last episode, we're making about 300 million in profit, which is just awesome. So we should be able to build this soon. I'm gonna connect it up, and then we'll wait a couple days to add in the northern route. Okay, all done. Not bad. I don't love these flyovers, so maybe I'll revisit this in the future. But for now, that should work. I just don't know what kind of route I want to take yet. But I know I want to have a Oxford Circus be a transfer station. So we'll see in the future what this shapes out to be, but at least we're prepared. Is both my crossovers in? Not yet. This is going to cost us $1.5 billion. So it looks like I am going to have to sim about at least 5 days. I like what I've done though. I think this will be very useful, especially you can see all the red in this area. So I'm going to skip a couple days and then we'll get this route built up. Okay, we simulated a couple days and I actually made a little bit of a change here at Piccadilly Circus. I realized I wanted a line similar to the Piccadilly line, which I don't know the whole route, but I know that in this area it follows this road right here where my cursor is, and then goes up actually through this road. And you can kind of see the cutout. This is like a little plaza right here. So I switched it to a quad, or I kept it as a quad, but I changed the direction. And then I realized the Bakerloo line actually runs north to south in this area. So maybe we'll have a similar type routing, and that's what I was thinking of when I thought of the transfer with Oxford Circus. So we have enough money to build it. I'm just gonna let the game keep running. I managed to get this cost down to 1.42 or 1.42 billion, and this station I think makes sense. It's kind of in a weird area underneath all these buildings. I didn't really know where to put it because this gives it a nice gentle curve between Marble Arch and Piccadilly. This one I don't know anything about this area, so let me know what I should call this station and if I should move it anywhere that makes sense. When I was looking at Google Maps, because I was looking at the Piccadilly line, I was just saw that there's no real transit or any stations in this area. So let me know. We're gonna go ahead and build this, and we're gonna name all the stations at the end of the episode, so stick around for that. And this is gonna be our Cricklecross line. And what colors do we have? We have red. We don't really have a blue. So, and since we're going over the River Thames, let's make it a nice blue color. I like that. Maybe a little darker. Maybe something like that. That looks nice. And great. And I think I should start using some light metro routes in the future. But all these routes will be heavily used. I was getting capacity issues on a lot of my lines, and I actually ended up adding a lot of trains over the past day or so, and it actually jumped up real quick. I'll show you guys this. It jumped up our revenue even more to 460, so about 350 million in profit, which is amazing. It's pretty crazy we got that high already. Okay, nice. That looks nice. Let's hit confirm, and I'm gonna need a bit more money because I think I don't have any trains left. Let's see. Oh, I have some remaining. That's nice. So we're gonna do, for now, we'll do a 7-minute frequency, and then we'll increase this at the end of the episode, and then just one low demand for now. Okay, before we build any more stations, I want to make some quick updates and some fixes. So we're going to keep the Toon Tot name, or Toon Toot name, and then you guys overwhelmingly voted for Bank to be our central station name. So let's change that right now. And then I'm also changing the King's line to black text color. And then I have a couple physical fixes I want to change around. The first one, thanks Barney, mentioned that I want under the Ministry of Defense building right here, which probably is a no-go. So we're just going to slightly change that to avoid that building. And then we're also going to move down Stanford Bridge to make a big station group. And then over here, we're going to add a station right here. Thank you, Quinomium, I think is how you say his name. He suggested we should add a station right here. There's a big 5-star hotel, and there's a big gap between Marble Arch and Queensway, so I think a station right here makes sense. And then our last physical change of the day, we're going to cut out Emirates Stadium from our Premier line and just go straight on from Dalston Kingsland down to King's Cross. But we're going to keep all the infrastructure here for the future. We're just going to add a line connecting these two, and then we're actually adding a station right here, Highbury and Islington. So I'm going to disconnect all the route, make those changes, and then we'll move on to our station name changes from last episode. Okay, nice. You guys can see I left all the infrastructure for Emirates Stadium over here. It is a fairly popular station, so I am going to connect it up with a line in the future. But because I want to complete our orbital route, probably next episode, it did make sense to kind of cut this out. So thanks CamJ for that suggestion. And you guys can see the new station, Highbury and Islington, I think is the name, if I'm saying that correctly. We can change that name too to something a little simpler. And then over here, Stanford Bridge, you can see we now have our station group, and we have a much nicer turn here. And then we have Lancaster Gate over here. I am going to have to spend a bit of money on the new quad tracks, but that's all right. I think that makes a lot of sense. So all these fixes are going to cost us 519 million. So we're going to hit build. So I'm going to connect up all the routes, and then we'll make the name changes that you guys suggested from last video's comment section. Okay, all those changes look nice on the map. The first name change we have is Bow Church. We're just gonna change to Bow, and I actually destroyed Bow Church last episode. It is this building right here that I was like, oh, I don't know what this is, and then I just put a train line right through it. So sorry about that. The next one is the Vale, which is a cool name. We're gonna change this to World's End based on a famous estate in the area. And then this isn't really Fulham. We're going to change this to Hurlingham. There was suggestions for the park right here, Parsons Green, and then I think the park down here as well, but I like Hurlingham. And then I used 2 eyes on Westminster. It's just 1. Okay, I've let the game run for a couple of days, and our Cricklecross line is getting up there. Not too bad. I forgot what a Premier Line ridership was. I don't know if we heard it or helped it. It'll be interesting to see. I do think it's faster though, so in the future it will be better. Before we finish out our Cricklecross line, I wanted to finish our Tottenham line by extending it to Tottenham, what half the name is based on. So I have a couple station ideas planned for this. The first one is going to be Stoke Newington, which is going to be, I think, right here. Yeah, right here is going to be the first station. The next one, I was going to have a station. Actually, let me have my demand bubbles up. These stations are kind of far apart. Let's see, what is that? Walking distance. Oh, I got to click on one. It's about a 30-minute walk. That's a little bit much for this area. So I'm actually going to bring this down to right here. And that will be Stoke Newington, this little neighborhood right here. The next one is going to be right here, and I have this down as Stamford Hill, right here at this intersection. Then our next one, I don't actually have a name for. I couldn't find a name for the neighborhood on Google Maps, but it's gonna be right here at Monument and High Road. There's a lot of demand right here. And then our last station obviously is gonna be at the Tottenham Stadium. So yeah, these stations should be fairly spaced, not too far apart, about 27-minute walk. That's all right because I think I'll have other routes maybe headed throughout this area, and we can always add infill stations in between. I'm gonna connect all these up, and then we'll move on to our Cricklecross line. Looking nice. Let's get that build and add that extension. And our Tottenham line is already, I think, our most used. Let's look real quick. Now it is definitely our longest. Yeah, it is our most used, and now it is by far, well, by far our longest. Let's get our route placed back in. Let's do probably 3 low demand. Okay, this looks to be the updated frequency. We'll increase this medium demand frequency, and I want to get 5-minute frequencies on our high demand. And then we'll probably have like an express route from Dalston to probably one of these stations down here, probably Clapham North, with my plans for the future. And then that way we can have like kind of like an express train, and then have a full length running train. Okay, I simulated a couple more days, and I want to show you guys our Toon Toot line is now at 170,000 riders just on this line, which is crazy. I think all these stations were a success. We're gonna go over actually all of our stations at the end of this episode if you're interested. First, let's finish this Cricklecross line, and then I want to extend this orbital over here. Once we're done with that, we're gonna have one station, a transfer station at Elephant and Castle. And that I think is gonna have to be at -9 right here. And I'm gonna actually push it back. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm gonna show you where our terminus station is. And let me have my demand stats up while I'm showing you guys. So I wanna keep extending this kind of along this pathway, but I kind of found it hard of like where to send it. So I know I wanna end it here for today's episode at New Cross Gate, right here. So this is gonna be our ending station. Scratch that. I'm gonna have it right here because I might have it turn down here in the future, and then also send one line, along this main road. So I'm not sure if I want to send it down this road over here, and then maybe capture some of this. That would be a pretty far route. Oh, sorry for zooming out so far. From here to here. That's one option. And then maybe also sending it down here. I'm not sure yet. And it will depend on our orbital, like where I'm going to send that. Because I know I'm going to go up to Canary Wharf with our orbital. But I definitely want a transfer station with our Cricklecross line. So that's going to be our terminus station. I want our middle station to be right here at Burgess Park. And then I think I'm going to fit in 2 more stations on this route. This one I don't have a name for. Maybe right here. Shorten it up just a little bit. I think that's right in between. That should be good right there. And I know there's there's some workers in this area as well as residents. And then I think right here, there's kind of like this funny little roundabout. Because this is like kind of like a highway in this, it's very interesting, but I'm gonna have just a station on this side of the road. I don't know if it makes too much sense, but that's where I'm putting it, mainly because these 2 huge population bubbles right here. Are there any workers? Yeah, there's some workers over here. So those will be all of our southern stations for now, and then in the future let me know where should I send it on this line. So let's connect up all these tracks and extend this route down. And I'm realizing we're passing right by Waterloo, so let's try to get a station here. And I think that, yeah, it looks like there's like a sky bridge here. Yeah, there is. So we're gonna drop this down to -10 right here. We'll have a station right there, and then I don't think we need one in between these two spots. And nice. That's not looking too bad. And it's gonna cost us 832 million. Nice. So it seems like we saved up the perfect amount. And we actually didn't, because I didn't add my crossover. Add the crossover. Yeah. Actually, I don't think that's gonna work. Let me fix that real quick. That's looking much better. And then yeah, we can send it either along this road or somewhere down here. We'll see. Or we could have two different routes branching off of that. So now let's build this whole route and connect up our Cricklecross line. And if any of you guys know like what this town's name is, I could find like some towns up here and towns up here. You know, on Google Maps, if you click on it and it highlights that area. So I couldn't figure this out. I know like New Cross Gate is the station name, but let me know about that area. And for trains, I think we're gonna want to try to maybe a 6-minute frequency for now, and we'll see how that works out. And then 10 for medium, and we'll keep 2 for low demand. So the last thing I wanted to do today was extend this Premier line down. I think, let me pull up demand stats, and it is this hospital right here, King's College Hospital, which is actually like the top 4th most used hospital in the area. So it's gonna follow this route right here, the right of way, cut into the landscape, stopping at Clapham North. We'll have a station at Brixton, this little town right here, and then we'll have a stop at the hospital. So let's put those stations in. This one's gonna be at Battersea, which is this neighborhood right here. And I'm using -9. I don't think it matters. It's all cut and cover. I'm just gonna, and we're not gonna have enough money. So my plan is to build these stations, connect them up, and then do a naming time lapse while we wait for enough money to build this route. And then we'll have Clapham North, and I'm hoping I can get close enough to make a station group, and that looks like it is working, yes, as a station group. And then where was our next one? Oh yeah, right here, Brixton, which is a bit close to this one, but I do think I'm gonna have a route down this road in the future. Even though they are close, I think it is gonna be necessary because this map is just so dense. So it looks like we are gonna have to demolish some buildings. That's all right. Let's just be strategic with which ones we're destroying. I'm gonna get better angle on this. I think that will be best. And then our last one, the hospital. The demand bulb was right here, but the actual hospital is this building, and like it's also a university, I believe. So we're actually just gonna move it over, and I think that will be close enough. And that's gonna be Denmark Hill. Or King's College Hospital, whatever we want to name it. So let's get those all connected up. I'm wondering if there is potential for maybe a stop in between somewhere. Let me see. I originally planned on having it go down here, but I just thought that made the orbital too wide because I was going to have it come down here and all the way around. So I wanted to kind of cut through and have a shallower oval. I like that idea for another route in the future. So I'm definitely going to remember that. It was going through Clapham Common with probably a station right here. But for this route, maybe a station right here could be a transfer opportunity in the future if we ever use something like along this bridge. What was the issue with? Okay, that for whatever this is costing a lot of money. Can we go to -11? We can. So we'll have that come right there. How about? And I've been realized something. I can use -10 as a standard tunnel and it works just fine. I don't know why I've been using 11 my whole like Boston series and this series as well. So we have that. Let's connect that all up. And then I'll simulate a couple days, do a naming time lapse, and then we can examine our whole performance of all our new routes and all our new stations. Okay, so this is going to cost 830 million, which is a little bit more than I expected, but that's all right. I'm now wondering, maybe I should get a more direct connection here, but I think this station is necessary. Yeah, it seems like people are headed all around too, and actually this will be, I think they'll use this station quite a bit. These demand bubbles, it looks like. Yeah. Okay, so this is a good station idea that I had on the fly, if I can credit myself. So now let's go through and name all the stations, and then I'll come back and we can see how our performance of our system's doing. And as always, if you guys disagree with any of these name changes or want something else, just let me know and I got you. Okay, our full system is built out now for today's episode. Our premier line actually has gotten quite the jump in ridership to 110,000, which is great to see. And you can see it's at capacity from that little train ride we just had. So let's see, I think we're at 3 for low demand. That's surprising. Maybe we should have 4. We'll see if that helps at all. Our Tarantu line is just going crazy and it keeps asking for more trains. I need to learn more about that and how that system works. Well, let's do 4 for low demand. I know that the population resets every 15 minutes, so that might help out. But you can see and we're getting more capacity issues, which is all right. I'll show you guys this. So we started at day 23 and maybe we were at 100,000. I can't remember, but now we're at 220,000 trans users, which is crazy. And wow, we're getting all these capacity issues in the dead of night, or 9 p.m. I guess it's not too late. Whoa. Okay. Let's increase this to 5 for now. That's weird. I have never had that many trains on at night. And we can look at all of our 4 or 5 routes. Our Tarantu line has exploded this episode, which is great to see. Central actually has jumped up quite a bit, and I think that's just with these with this transfer at Marble Arch has helped a lot. And then our Kings line, same thing. I think this transfer helped a lot because this was, I think, maybe at 100,000. Our Premier obviously has jumped up a ton. It was at 60k. It's almost doubled from just this little extension right here. Clapham North, let's see, that transfer is doing pretty well. And then our Cricklecross line is actually our least used, which I wasn't expecting, but that's all right because we have a ton of transfer stations. So in the future, I'm sure we'll see ridership jump up. Looking at our overall demand map, we are getting a lot more blue, especially along the Tarantu line, which is great to see. And I'm just gonna hide the warnings for now. We can just keep adding trains, but I have another idea to do before we end today's video. And worker bubbles, we're starting to turn these some of the like purple color, especially this main one, which is great to see. We're now at 25%, which is amazing. You can see all along the Totem line we're getting there, and it looks like we need some sort of route that heads up here to capture these guys. So we'll work on that maybe next episode. And I think we can bring this new cross gate down to this town. I think I was deciding on maybe just using this line right here, and then we can have another line head south this way and maybe split off, and then maybe use some of these train stations because they're cutting through the landscape, which makes it a lot easier to build for me. and we could capture all of this demand. And lastly, looking at station ridership, our bank station is now up to 130,000 riders, which is crazy. Transfers at 90K. Our full station list, let's go through that. I'm going to keep it on station groups for now, and we can show all. And all these new Cricklecross stations aren't doing too bad. I thought they'd get a little bit more ridership, but that's okay. This is not too dense compared to the rest of London. Very dense still. This Waterloo station, I think, will become a big transfer station once we start kind of using it as, you know, commuter rail, connect to the bridge station over here. Piccadilly, I think, is going to become a very big station once we introduce that kind of very similar line. I have an idea for running up to, what is this, Dalston Kingsland over here. I kind of have an idea of cutting through this and then adding one more station to this transfer station over here. Right here, they're all close enough. They're all within walking distance to make transfers, these 5 stations. But I think maybe I should add some stations right here. We'll see. I don't want to slow down the Premier too much. And then these stations are doing quite well, 15, 13. And I think if we keep extending this, we'll get more and more usage, obviously. And then those new Premier line stations are doing quite well too. So I named this one Battersea West and this one Battersea East. If you have different names you want to see, because I don't know if that's the whole town right here, let me know. And then we have Brixton and the hospital, which is actually getting quite a bit of usage, which is good to see. And you can see we're at 12%, which is good. It looks like we can just keep extending it. I think for the orbital route, the next station will be right here. I don't know this town yet. And then maybe we have kind of like an interesting transfer station right here where it's like parallel, but goes underneath. And then from there, we can just shoot it to Canary Wharf. But maybe we'll have a stop over here before we start turning it into Canary Wharf. Transfer station here, or we'll have one at Southern Canary Wharf. I don't know if this is the same name. And then, yeah, a stop at Canary Wharf, then that main station, a stop at Bow, maybe a stop in between if it's necessary. Let me take this demand off and we can actually see, yeah, maybe a stop here. And then maybe a stop right here. I did in the original, like episode 0, I had a stop at London Stadium. I don't know if I'm going to replicate that. It seems a little useless considering there's no anything over there. So maybe I'll have a stop at Bow and then maybe like one right along here. So before we send it to the outro, I wanted to make a TTX line, and the purpose is gonna just be, we're gonna have a crossover at Clapham North. We'll put it on this side, and I think in the future I might make these 2 ending stations quad. That way this works out better. Oh, and we already have a crossover there. So we're gonna build this, and you can see how much money we have for next episode, which is great to see. We'll go over finances after I do this. So this is just gonna be an express line that I'm gonna run as a double car. So this is gonna be an express line, and I'm gonna run a double train, so 10 cars per train. And then this is gonna have not as much frequency. Oh, that's perfect. It's at the reset of 15 minutes. So we'll do that, and then we can take a couple trains off this Tottenham 2 line. Oh, and I don't know why it's not showing me that when I'm adding to the other route. I'm not sure why it does that. So we'll see how this works out next episode. If we have a bunch of like errors, we're gonna have to make Clapham North and Dalston quad stations. That way the turnaround works out better. And then maybe even it could skip some stations, and whatever stations it skips, we're gonna have to make quad. Like this one, we could have it stop on the outside rails. We can explore that later on. Real quick, right before we go send it to the outro, this is what we're currently at. Our fare price is a little high. I'm gonna drop this down actually before I forget. I just wanted to juice the numbers a little bit. Our bond's almost fully paid off. I might just pay this off so we don't have to worry about this anymore. We definitely don't. We won't need to take any more. Our system is making so much money, which is great to see. You can see all time. We started off at day 24 at the start of this recording, where we were making 350 million in profit, and now we're at day 34, where we're making, what is that, almost 700 million in profit, which is crazy. And you can see each day, every time we made an upgrade to the system, it just went up and up and up, and our expenses really haven't gone up. So that just shows me I can keep adding frequency without any issues. But yeah, we've made 9 billion in profit on this save. We're at 73% profit percent of total, which is crazy to see. I think Boston were at like 40, and I thought that was pretty good. So you guys can see London just prints money once you get the, you know, set up quite well, which is awesome because now we have so much to build with. I definitely want to build to Heathrow, and then finish that orbital for next episode. I hope you enjoyed that little Roman history lesson today. If you did, make sure to like the video and subscribe. It really helps the series grow. Let me know what you think about this Cricklecross line. And as always, drop your suggestions below for any name changes or any route ideas. A lot of today's fixes came directly from your comments, and we'll be doing even more next episode. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in episode 4, and bye-bye. Okay, kid, you're doing pretty great, but next episode you need to connect to Heathrow. There's a lot of unhappy travelers that need that train.